everyone, welcome on in. This is an online writing critique group where people submit their stories and then I and other friendly raccoons in chat can give critique and feedback. And otherwise, yeah, that's how it goes. Hello, Nita, it's good to see you. Welcome on in. Alrighty, let me see over here. Let me let everyone know stream starting. Stream starting now. There we go. Let me see, what was the update? Oh, okay, it looks like our first person's in. It's all lies. I'm like, I think our first person actually made it in time, Nita. So I think I was gonna call on you if we couldn't do it. But I think the first person's in here. Let me see. Our first person was Raze. I can't see their username on the desktop version of Discord. That's so funny. Let me go ahead and get all their stuff set up. Let's see. So this was Nita's. Let me go back to... Here we go. I think theirs is this one. Kitten, are you okay? You just fell down. Sorry, everyone. That the cat fell down. Here we go. Here's our lovely writer in the upper right-hand corner in case anyone is curious. Let's see. And then I have some of their stuff. Hi, Ari. It's good to see you. You're mobile, but here. Hey, thank you so much for being here, Hideheart. I'm so sorry. There's issues with not technically with your computer, but with your charger. That always sucks. Oh my god. Everyone, I'm gonna try and be really, really good today. I'm gonna try and drink more water. Yeah, for Mita and everyone else, the Raze was actually worried if they would get here on time. So I was like, oh no, it's okay. We'll do the backup first. I'll switch things around. It's all good. But yeah, you made it just in time. That ended up working perfectly. Hello, hello. Go ahead and take a deep breath. You made it. You're all good. Nothing bad would have happened if you were late, but hello, hello. Hi, Deathshead. Hi. Oh my goodness. Welcome on in, everybody. Is everyone comfy and cozy? Do you guys all have nice little drinks and snacks? You need an energy drink and there's a store right across the street. Oh, that's so nice. There's a store nearby. Oh my god. I hate when I had to when all the stores kind of an inconvenient bit distance away where you kind of feel like you have to get into a car to get over there. Ooh, what new game do you have? There's a new Supermarket Together. Is that the name of it? A Supermarket Together game that Roots was playing with some of their friends, and then I watched Markiplier and some other people play it, and I'm like, ooh, this seems fun. So me and Roots might play that, and then as long as I'm feeling good health-wise, I might see if I can poke Mash and Penny to play with me too. Hi Titan, welcome on in. I used to work at the gas station across the street from my apartment when I was in the city. Oh, that's so fucking convenient. It's right there. Hi Chatty Maddie. I also got a couple new games on Steam. Ooh, found some good finds for cheap. Ooh, what kind of games? I feel like horror games are always really popular. At least as far as watching VODs and stuff on YouTube later. But I'm wondering what's everyone else's just cozy stuff. Do you guys remember the library game? And how I was playing the library game and that tidy forgot your avatar was that? What do you mean? It's me, I'm blue. I've always been like this. I'm blue. Kittens, you guys okay? Oh, poor Luna. Steam is on summer sale, so everything is... This is why you guys gotta tell me these things. I'm just a blue boy. I didn't know that was a thing. I was the reference photo you used? For what? I'm blue, da-ba-dee-da-ba-da-da-ba-dee. Yeah, see, it really was fine if you were a few minutes late, Race, because we yapped for a few minutes first. It's a blooba, because I'm blue, and I got jiggle physics. The boobs are blue, so they're bloobas. I'm the blooba. Poor Mama Cryptid actually described, because she heard us oversaying it. She heard me saying it, because chat says it a lot, so Mama Cryptid started describing me as a blooba. To her other mom friends. Oh no. Can I wait at home? Oh no. Only break from it is streaming, watching streams, or talking with friends. It's good to have other things to kind of kind of focus your mind the other way, kind of like little mental escapes. That's really, really good. Yeah, it's a bloober. The hell does the heavy lifting here? Why are you guys calling me out like this? Darklight Survivor? It's a roguelike Souls-like. Okay, with top-down and third-person toggles and a pixel toggle. Great music are on sale for $15 right now. Ooh, Rebirth of Isaac is $5. Ooh, okay. Oh my god, my spine in real life, you guys. There's so much heavy lifting. Everyone, a huge shout out to my back for supporting the weight of these. Although, no one ever talks about. Everyone just sees their cute little anime waifu. No one pays respect to the to the spine holding everything up. That's all the stuff. All right, this is. Let me make sure. Yep, this is Raise. Let's go. Now you're saying this is a prologue to a novel. Okay, so it's the prologue. So it's the very, very beginning. I don't always get the reference. I'm actually pretty okay with prologues. So I don't want anyone to think I'm anti or against prologues. I just always want them to earn that spot before chapter 1. Because if it's taking that screen time, if it's taking that spot before chapter 1, I want it to be a really good emotional beat. I want it to be interesting. I want it to be captivating. I want it to be necessary. It just really, really needs to earn that spot before chapter 1. Reference photo for makeup idea? Ooh, what kind of you're gonna be blue? Are you gonna be blue, Titan? Are you gonna be a cool little blooba like me? That's so exciting. So I chat and someone heard I was querying and said supernatural fantasy is so oversaturated. Like, yes. First of all, fuck them. Also, it takes so long from querying to getting the contracts, to contracts work through, to all the rounds of edits, to then the marketing, to then publishing. It takes, even once you get the agent, and it can still be a year or two just trying to get an agent. By then the craze will already have died. I always tell people, never worry about what's hot or not in the market. If your thing is hot right now, then like, hey, that's a bonus. It's not a bad thing. But never worry about it, because by the time the wheels of the publishing industry turn around and pop your book out, it will either be the perfect and right time, or the craze will already be over and they're looking for something new, and it just doesn't matter. Honestly, it just doesn't matter. Just your book will come out when it's supposed to, and that's the right and good time. You're gonna give my back a raise? Yeah, it's doing so much heavy lifting. I've made this amazing application that'll help us in all of our business needs. Why does it have Jiggle? I very purposely wanted Jiggle Physics. Oh, hey, thank you. Thank you for the sub. That's so kind and nice of you. Of course I get it right when I'm talking about my models Jizzle Physics. Of course that's when I get a sub. Oh my goodness. But I literally did, because even though like Cryptid, the model is blue and fantastical, and one day she'll have her deer antlers and all the other different stuff, I still wanted her to look like me.
Auntie Cryptid. I heard someone mention bloober. Can we consider that Blue Lady in Avatar a bloober? I mean the avatar with the blue people.
It depends. How big are the boobas? I don't know. Can you would you say like little like A cups, are they really boobas? What's the vibe here? What's the report? I'm being ignored by Maddie. Oh no. I need to keep his book 3s, mostly because it actually does its job to set up stuff that happens with Medea in book 3. Yeah, you see? As long as it's... Oh my god, my camera moved. I think the ghost moved it. Oh, your little sprout, Zoe, that's so cute. But yeah, I definitely, I wanted the model to look a little bit like me. I still wanted her to have that. You guys gonna play Mecha Wednesday? Ooh, Mecha Chameleon? Use that JJ model to look like an adult. I was tired of looking vaguely childlike. Can you guys believe I wanted Cryptid when I was first coming up with the ideas for Cryptid? I wanted her to be so cool and seductive and mysterious and like kind of more distant and snowy and cold. And I was gonna pretend to be like so cool and like a cool kid. I was gonna be all mysterious and demure and all that other stuff. And then I when I tried it out, I was like, I cannot do this. Generally, just stream whatever what comes naturally to you. And being a blooba girl failure is how I be. It just comes naturally to me. So let's see. It's the prologue. It's a young adult historical fantasy. Okay, so we have the target demographic. We have young adult, and we also have the genre. We have historical fantasy. I like that. You kind of know what vibe you're going for already. I like it. I like it. Reincarnated in an alternate Earth, Kim struggles with the realities of memory loss and potential new love. But you're not sure on the love bit yet. You're still playing with it. That's fine. While trying to regain her memories and find a way home, she fights amongst the freed Allied prisoners of war in 1940s Japan. Oh, so very, very leaning into the historical aspects of it. Okay, okay. Sometimes with historical, sometimes it's just for like flavor. Like, oh yeah, it's some unspecified medieval time period and somewhere in fantasy Europe. You know, sometimes people play a little fast and loose with how historical it is, but definitely you're going for a specific thing here. You want general feedback. Good, good, good. Okay. Let's see. Playing the library game on Friday while Maddie and I were playing Phasmophobia. Ooh, how did you guys like it? I tried playing Phasmophobia, not on stream, just with Roots in general, and oh my fucking fit. Our first game ever, it was just me and Roots. That was it. It was only me and Roots playing. And our first match ever, I was in an upstairs of the building, Roots was in the downstairs. And I had to hide in a closet in the upstairs, and I kept hearing a ghost right outside the closet, right outside. It was just patrolling me. It was just keeping me in there. So I'm like, oh, I can't leave because there's a ghost right outside the closet. But Roots was telling me, like, no, I'm downstairs and hiding in a closet, and the ghost is down here by me. And I'm like, how is the ghost by me and by you? One of us is fibbing. So after a while, like, we were honest. They would not fucking leave. We waited for like forever until like we were what, like it wasn't scary anymore, it was just boring. So yeah, see, Aaron already got it. So like we both left our hiding spots because we were like, it can't be by both of us. We both got because yeah, the very first one we got was the twins. Just fucking instant death. We died. It was so bad. It will get much looser as magic becomes more focused in the story and affects the direction of the war. But yeah, very focused on 40s Japan to start. I like it, I like it. You went to a party, but you smeared your eyeliner and ended up looking super... Listen, when I was a young cryptid, we all intentionally did that. You're over here just accidentally looking emo when we were all over there, purposely trying our hardest. I'm really bad. You guys are really bad at the game. Hey, it's okay. I'm bad at most games. It's fine. Except for the librarian sort of game. But yeah, there's a supermarket version of the same kind of thing like librarian, where you just put away thousands of items in the supermarket.
Anti-Cryptid Erin left Matty for dead.
Oh my god. All my raccoons causing chaos. So alright, let's see how long this is. Oh, it's 5 pages. Not quite a full 5 pages. I think my voice is better. I think I can read all of that. Sometimes I just do like 3 to 4 pages, but I think I can. I don't want to make you resubmit just for like the last page, so I'm gonna try and do the full 5. Take a nice sippy of cold water for fortitude. Court with her, and it was very different vibes. Wait, for what? For who? It's a train? I don't know what the train does, but I always know it's like a hype train. No, it says treasure train, not a hype train. I don't know what that does. I also had to listen to a man doing karaoke while I was being killed by a ghost too. We're doing a lot of karaoke. You guys are funny. Now for Cryptid, I had some comments if you read this on stream through Google Drive, showing a bit of my thought process. Okay. And then from questions I was thinking at the time to random facts and light research I might have done. Feel like I'm saying Kim too much as opposed to using she, her. Probably just me though. Let me see. So are there comments on the side? I can't see those. Let me see. Or are they comments in text? Let me double check. Let me scroll through. Let me see if there's any comments. And yeah, okay, there's notes in the text. Got it. I want to make sure. And I want mine. Okay, perfect. Also, the giant fire next to my house has jumped from 0% contained to 12% contained. Hey, okay, some of it's contained. Hold on, I'm gonna cough real quick. Okay, I'm back. Hi, Zathara. It's so good to see you. Hi, varmints. All the little critters and raccoons and chats. You're here perfectly on time, Zathara. And hey, what? We just started this. We're just getting ready. So everyone's comfy and cozy. And again, if you have any questions, if you have any comments or critiques yourself, feel free to say them in the chat. The only rule is, you just gotta be nice about it. A voice trailed off, as if catching the tail end of a conversation from someone leaving one room and stepping into another. That one's a little bit of a long, convoluted sentence. I'd like a shorter, punchier one. But that could also just be me. I might be biased. I have admitted before, I'm like, for an intro, unless it has a really strong voice that justifies the longer sentence, for the very first sentence, I normally like a shorter, punchier one. In the fires of eternity, my little spark. The voice felt sad. Sad but accepting, and the words carried a certain comfort and warmth with them that couldn't quite be placed. It echoed strangely for a time before all went still in the darkness. For a moment, there was uncertainty. Then there was peace. The air was neither warm nor cool and felt as natural as a second skin. It smelled of freshly fallen rain on a warm spring day that would wash away the worries of the world and carry you down a calm woodland stream. Oh my god, it's so hot down here in fucking Florida today. It was nice. There was some afternoon or evening rain cover. That felt really nice. But me, Mom, and Cryptid, when we go on our daily walks, we are like covering ourselves with like already like we soak our headbands, like our little bandanas. That's what they're called, bandanas, in like really cold ice water, and then we put those on our heads, and we're just it just leaks cold ice water down us for the entire walk. It's so funny. Oh, you're working on Raccoon 6 News. Wow! You guys didn't even like take it. Whoa, we just finished season 1 and you guys are already back at it. Everyone, huge respect to all of our amazing Raccoon Channel 6 News writers over here. They're doing the work. Gee, strap in, bitches. I'ma tell you a story. Oh my god. Oh, you guys actually got flooding last night? But it was so hot you already couldn't tell it happened. That's crazy. So double checking. That's good. I'm double checking. So 1, 2. For anyone who is new here, any of my newer raccoons, if you're ever worried about sentence flow variety, normally you want a good mixture of short, medium, and long sentences. You don't want too many long sentences back to back. You don't want too many like samey length sentences back to back. So a good way to tell is by actually highlighting one by one each sentence, and then you can physically see how long that is. It's a nice little sheet guide to see if you're having good sentence variety for your stuff. Just as quickly as the echoes of the voice had gone, were they replaced by the slowly growing sounds of the stream all around. But it felt strange, off. This was no babbling brook, no clear creek, but a raging river and the harsh, cold, and deafening rapids that came with. But dreams of rivers faded quickly as the torrent of assaulting wind made itself known. Fuck. I'm falling? Oh, you have a website for sentence variety? Ooh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, that's fine. As long as you guys ask, I'm normally okay with it. Thank you for asking, though. You can eyeball your sentence like now. It's scaring me. Yeah, once you notice something, once you get a critique and it kind of opens your eyes to something and you kind of start focusing on it, oh my god, it's kind of like this third eye opening up and you're like, how did I not notice this before? So what is that? What does it do? What does it do on that website, Nita? If you wouldn't mind telling us. Fuck, I'm falling. Kim's heart lurched in her chest as her eyes shot open. Okay, so now we got our character. Flailing and spinning, she fought to grasp at the red cloak wrapped and whipping around her head. She clenched at the fabric, peeling it in what felt like her nightshade lenses from her head. As she fought to tuck the cloak behind her and between her legs with one hand, she freed the lenses from the labyrinth of fabric and fingers with the other before fitting them to her bleary, wind-worn eyes and fixing the strap around her head. We paste a text and we'll highlight the sentences based on their length so they can quickly visualize. Oh, that's so neat. Use Hemingway Editor offline for it. I ate the $20 and got the offline version. Everyone here is so fancy. You guys all know such cool like little writing, little websites and cool little apps and stuff. I'm just too old school. I'm just over here like, I got a pen and paper. I got Google Doc. I'm fine. But yeah, yes, use that. I'm over here like, ooh. Mita, if you wouldn't mind, would you also mind posting that as a resource in the Discord, like in the writing section? I think a lot of people would like it. Not everyone always shows up for the streams, but they still like seeing the resources listed in the writing section on the Discord. So if that's all right with you, I think that would be great. Let's see. So this one here, I'm definitely noticing like that one in particular is a run-on sentence. Reaching up to her face, Kim plucked at the clumps of hair that had blown up from behind her head and under the seal of the lenses. She winced as stray hairs dragged across the surface of her right eye, but blinked a few times and was quickly relieved and seen clearly again. She looked briefly at the lone ashen white braid and loose hair whipping in front of her face, and thought how strange it looked through the purple and white filter of the lenses. Taking a deep breath in the pocket of somewhat calmer air that was shielded by her body, Kim deftly rolled to one side to face her direction of travel. Okay, I'm above the clouds at least, Kim thought. Gives me time to think. Unless there's a mountain in those clouds. Fuck, this is gonna hurt. Me over here taking notes, copying and pasting things from other fucking losers. Users. And trying to participate in chat. Hey, it's all good. And one, I don't ever want you guys to feel overwhelmed with getting your critique. Remember, this will still be a VOD that you can watch later on Twitch, right? You can see all the VODs there. And then afterwards, before the VODs are gone, it will be put on over to YouTube on the VODs channel, Cryptid Reads VODs. So if you're ever feeling like, oh man, Cryptid said something about this, someone had a good piece of advice for this, what was it? You can just go back and rewatch just your section of the VOD if you want. What is this later you speak of? You know, it's just in case you want to refer back to stuff. I like knowing it's not like all do or die right this second. Make sure you absorb all the information right the first time around. Like now, you can refer back to stuff. You can hear it again. Is buying 1 month of those AI narrators and have it read to me. The idea is so that I can easily see if I'm signposting tone well or not, as well as catching some of the errors I've made. Is there like the I think there's like just Google Voice, right? If you like put it into like the Google Translate thing, isn't there like an audio version of it? You started reading your edits and Cryptid's voice in your head. I'm so sorry. That's fucking hilarious. Oh my god, I'm so sorry for your brain cells. I'm so sorry you've been infected. Oh, that'll help about as well. And some people, there was a trick too that I learned when you're reading it just normally. Sometimes it's hard, like your brain will add in the words so you won't notice that you missed a word when you're typing stuff up. So sometimes it's actually better to go from bottom up to just read one sentence at a time but backwards like this. That way you can it will break up your brain, makes your brain focus enough that you'll catch if you missed a word or you misspelled a word. It's a little bit easier. That's one of the tricks I learned in college when I was still in college for creative writing before I switched over to costuming. Why do I hear Cryptid's voice in my head? Truly, I apologize to all of you. Me writing about lies with a superimposed picture of a pregnant woman. This is all just because I let my true self out one time with you guys, with my little raccoons in chat, and I read Elias, and I'm like, oh, I want that man pregnant when I liked him. And I let my true self be shown to you guys for one moment. And now you guys will never let me live it down. Cryptid is truly a cryptid. That's right, I'm in your brains right now. The true cryptid was the voices in your head all along. You look at Sunreal's chapters and I'm like, oh, Cryptid will be lore dump. First, do you know how to? Oh no. I'm so sorry, everybody. So, I have a question for you guys. I have a question. Because I see the future aspirations thing clipped over here. I know that's talking about the Tommy Mommy editor bit that I was joking with. I submit she's gonna call her thirsty. Is it all of you guys are hearing your little inner editor in my voice? I have a question and then I'm gonna focus again on this. We did go through at least one page before I got super sidetracked though, so I'll give myself a pat on the back for that. But the question is, okay, for everyone who is here, for everyone who's heard the bit of the future goal of the joke of the future goal is the Dommy Mommy editor services, right? Developmental editor services. I always said it was a joke because I cannot be Dommy Mommy, right? I can't be Dommy Mommy vibes. The joke of the webpage is already made. That'd be hilarious. I got through the first page. Got through the first page before I got sidetracked. So that was the joke, right? I can't be serious enough about it. I would just be giggling like a maniac the whole time. I'd be a little gremlin, right? Heart saying sorry that I'm being sidetracked. So that's the bit. And I was telling Roots about it, because, you know, sometimes Roots isn't always here, so I was giving them the update. I'm like, oh yeah, we were all joking about the Dommy Mommy developmental editor services, right? But I can't really do it because I can't do it consistently. I can't be cool and seductive like that without, like, just laughing. And Roots was like, no, you could totally do it. Some of them are into that. That's like a kink. And I'm like, yeah, but, like, the kink is that's, like, the cool, seductive, like, awesome lady who's all serious and like sexy and isn't like giggling like a gremlin. And they're like, I don't know, there's probably something for that. That's probably like one of the flavors for a dominant lady. And I'm like, it cannot be. That cannot be one of the niches. They're like, yeah, it's like the humiliation thing. They might like it more if you're laughing at them while you're doing it. And I'm like, no, you cannot. You cannot make this plausible. Cryptid there are. No! Oh no. They'll love it when a non-dominant lady plays at being dominant. Because it's cute and adorable. So you guys are mocking me. That's it. I see it. You guys are mocking me. Even when I try to be cool. Everyone just thinks I'm cute. Banned. Everyone's banned. There's a kink for everything. I'm realizing that. I'm writing in my human notebook. You would think me selling sex toys in real life for several years, I would have already been aware of this, but it still, like, still blows my brain sometimes. I was a top sales associate too. I was a supervisor. Zoe, you know this. You know I worked at Spencer's. What do you think is in a Spencer's? But also, even when we were laid off, everyone was saying, like, oh, I guess there's a really big, popular adult toy store nearby, and everyone was saying, like, oh, you're so good at sales, and you have really good customer service, and you're really friendly and stuff. People feel comfortable talking about stuff with you, and you handle the creeps really well. You should consider applying there. You'd probably do really good there. And I was like, but then it was 2020, you know, and the world ended. Yeah, the back half of the store is non-PG, exactly. He's 5'0" on a good day. Cute as the base toy. I can wear really tall heels. I lived in heels for several years. I was wearing like the full like 6-inch. I was wearing the platform heels. I was wearing heels longer than most people's dicks, okay? I was so good. Hi, Galactic Honey, I'm so sorry that's what you come into, I swear. I swear I'm normal. Yeah, I specialized in the piercing section at first. When you work at Spencer's, you have like a different zone that they want you to be like a specialist in. For me at first, I got really knowledgeable about the piercings to help customers with piercing questions for the jewelry. And then afterwards, because I was really, really good customer service and people had a lot of like were pretty good about talking with me and feeling comfortable, they were like, oh sweet, we're gonna switch you over when I move to a different store to being the specialist in the adult toy section in the back of Spencer's, and that was my specialty in my area for a while when I was a supervisor at one of the locations. Yeah. It was the best intro you've ever heard. Of course it was. Oh no. Oh my god. I used to on the type of piercing considering you mentioned Spencer's. There's cases, so I would have more of the keys and I would have to like talk to people about like, hey, don't get your piercing done at Claire's. Claire's uses a piercing gun, which is blunt force trauma and it's hard to disinfect. You're more likely to get infections. Go to a tattoo place that has like the proper needles. I'd have to do like explain how gauges work, because sometimes people will get like their belly buttons done or start doing gauges and they wouldn't understand how the numbering system works, so I'd have to explain that for people. All different things like that. I would have to explain things and like help people with that. Hi Zoe's family, I swear this is a nice normal stream, just doing story critiques. I'm gonna be good now, I'm gonna be good. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for the lurk. Yeah, that's Spencer's. There you go. You pierced your ear yourself in college with a clothespin? Still have the ring in too. Never got infected. Oh my god. That's too scary. Yeah, Mama Cryptid was like her family when she was a baby cryptid. When Mama Cryptid was a baby cryptid. Her family just did like, yeah, here's the lemon slice. And like here's like a sewing needle, and they just did their own piercings. I was a baby cryptid and Mama Cryptid got my ears done, but I think she got them at Claire's when I was a baby cryptid, because she's like, yeah, it's better to get your piercings done now, because she wanted like me to have like cute earrings and stuff, which I did, rather than like being adult and like remember the pain. It's better to get the pain done when you're a baby. But Claire's fucked it up. The piercings weren't like symmetrical, they were in slightly different spots, because it was Claire's, so that's, of course, it was going to be bad. And then when I was an adult in college, I got them redone at a tattoo place by an actual piercer. You got yours at Walmart. It's not like getting it done at Claire's. At least people take the trip to Claire's. I'm terrified of needles. It took me so long to be able to get over my fear of needles, and actually get acupuncture. I was scared of acupuncture for years because I was scared of needles. For the seat at the door, surprisingly no. That's fucking hilarious. And then a couple years after, I think my ears have stayed pretty good. And then I got my belly button done after 2020, when everything was opening it. So maybe that's what 2021, 2022, when everything was kind of opening up again in Florida. Florida opened really early compared to other places, because Florida wanted to not admit there was a pandemic for the early stages of COVID, but we still waited a while. But yeah, so I have my ears done, and I have my belly button pierced. You really want to get your upper lobes pierced? Yeah. I think there's so many cool people who have so many cool piercings, and then again, like, I start trying to like visualize and see if it would look good on me, and then I like get the piercings and the jewelry and stuff, and I like hold them up to me to see if it would look good, and I just got that cute baby face. I'm just 100% cute. I'm not like cool and badass, and so they just look silly on me, and I'm like, god damn it. I wanted to get my nose done, and then I kept like holding up the piercings to my nose, and I just looked silly. I was a grown adult, but I looked like a kid with like a fake piercing on, and I was like, no, horrible. You have a tattoo, got an actual tattoo place, not Walmart. What do I do? 66,000 points at the anniversary. Put in some requests. Put in some requests. What are some cool redeems you want? Not singing. I've already said no singing. God, you're stepping down the cow jokes for my in-laws. That's horrible. Oh. But yeah, so let's see here. So we got the first page done before I got sidetracked. By two things. We went on two different topics. Also, I have a cute baby face. I want to be cool. I want to be a cool kid. I want to be a cool, eldritch, witchy woman that strikes fear into the heart of man. And instead, I'm just a little homeless-looking witch going by at like ankle level in the hot Florida sun, wearing all gray and black, just sweating. There he goes. Not intimidating at all. I was always told I'd look like a bull. I'd rather get one on the side anyway. Oh my god. Takes out the knees. Take out the kneecaps. If I ever get diagnosed with the terminal, to find someone with gauge loops in the ears, sneak up on them and put a lock through them, then run off. That's horrible. Your torso, you own it. Ooh, I like it. That's right. You can't make fun of me. I'm this zodiac sign. In our heads, there's nothing more to worry about. You guys do not want to hear it. I cannot hold a note. Hydrate apocalypse. Oh my god. Could always be an ankle biter. Mama Cryptid and Papa Cryptid with Roots when Roots was a baby raccoon. That was one of the things they would, whenever we would like go into different aisles in a store. So like me and baby Roots would follow Mama Cryptid, but Papa Cryptid would go to another aisle to pick something up. And stuff like that, you know, in general, like whenever you like kind of separate a little bit out in public, like when someone goes to get popcorn at the movie theater and everyone else is kind of waiting after getting the tickets, that kind of thing, just when you're slightly far apart. The big thing they would train Roots to do is they would look at Roots, little baby Roots down here, baby Roots, and they would say, okay, go bite them on the leg. And then Roots would run over to them, boof, grab onto their leg, and then pretend nomming on them. And that was just the way to entertain a practically non-verbal autistic young child before we knew they were autistic or that they were non-verbal. We're just like, yeah, they're just quiet. I don't know. That's how they came out in the baby factory. We just got a quiet one. And then so there'd be no, pretend biting on one parent. And then that parent would be like, okay, now go back to the first one and bite them on the leg. And so then Roots would get up, run back to them, and it would just be the back and forth until they like met up in the middle. And that would be the way to keep them like entertained and tire them out. You just had this little baby. It's only like what, a couple yards apart. They're in line of sight the entire time, just going back and forth, attacking your ankles. So you trade attack raccoon. Gotcha. That's my sibling. That's my younger sibling. And so yeah, Roots was an adorable child. Oh my god, I was when I was a young child cryptid, I was so jealous of baby Roots. I was so jealous because I was getting into the awkward preteen phases, right? So I had like, yeah, I was all pimply, I had like my long oily hair, I couldn't figure out what to do with my hair. Why was it something? You're just dealing with all the preteen hormones and stuff, right? It's like, I feel horrible, nobody look at me, I'm gonna yeet myself away from here, nobody look at me. So you're dealing with all that. And then Roots was growing up, and when Roots was younger, they don't have it anymore. Their hair darkened as they got older, but Roots, when they were a baby Roots, had like the blonde-ish brown hair, but it was like basically blonde, had all the golden highlights in it just naturally. They had curly, wavy hair, and it just flowed down perfectly down their back, and they looked so cute and adorable. They were still young enough that Mama Cryptid was like sewing like cute little outfits for them, and they would just look like, and they had a tan. I was very pale and I sunburned all the time. Like I would just look horrible. I would just, if I went out to the sun, I just burned. But Roots would get this perfect golden tan. So perfect golden tan, little bright, happy, sunshiny child. The goldeny, like blonde brown locks, perfect curls. No effort required, just perfect curls going down their back. They looked so cute. I was so jealous. Reed's doing the uppies to Cryptid, and that's all I can imagine right now in Souls. I don't really think I ever really picked up Roots. Maybe when they were like itty bitty. So Roots was the golden child of just literally they could tan, they had the gold hair. Roots can be commanded, yep. Attack raccoon. It was so funny. But yeah, as a younger child, I was so jealous. And then, you know, obviously Roots grew up and got like the pink hair, the like shaved head, that they then put like the whole bit. But when I was younger, I was so jealous. Hi Lucas, welcome on in, Raiders. Welcome, Raiders. And with that, I think I've been enough of a side tangent. Cryptid does uppies at some season an average height for the first time. Hello, Raiders. Everyone's just making fun of me in chat. Can you believe this? You guys will be nice to me, right? You guys will all be wonderful chatters. You guys will be wonderful. Not make fun of me. Thank you, Heidenheart. Yeah, I'm gonna focus. Alright, so we finished the first page. One of the things I'm noticing is our main character isn't actually fully introduced till halfway down the first page. It's not like completely impossible to pull it off, but normally I like having a character and the scene introduced somewhere in the first few paragraphs here in the upper part to establish what the reader should be visualizing, because otherwise it's very empty air, empty space. We're not quite sure what to have in our mind's eye. It's just a lot of almost poetry feelings, but I don't know what we're actually seeing until we have our character in our scenario, which is later on. So it's not a hard no, but that is, I'm like giving it a little Cryptid side eye, like you know, just a little bit. That's how she gets you. Cryptid the black sheep and Commander Roots the golden child. Cryptid hunters. No, they're okay. They're Cryptid friends. It's technically describing a liminal space. I know, but I wish you're trying to pull off a technique purposefully that a lot of writers are writing the same way and they're doing it accidentally. And so as a new reader, when you're picking this up, it's like, is this writer intentionally doing this? Or is this a mistake that a lot of other writers fall into with some bad writing habits? It's losing a bit of trust in the readers right away. That's why I'm like, I wish it was just rephrased slightly to be more clear. Like, no, like Kim described in the first half, not just a voice, not just nobody, not just. I wish Kim was introduced up here, saying that there is nothing. It's this liminal space. This is what she's smelling, this is what she's experiencing, rather than we're having these emotions and then we get our character experiencing those feelings. I just wish Kim was introduced a little bit earlier on, and that would make it seem more purposeful. That I end up learning to do purposely, exactly. Learning what you pull off well, and then doing that consistently, and then learning what you struggle with, and like working on that to like kind of up that a bit. That's how we all get to be better writers. That's the bit. But yeah, so I just wish Kim was introduced a little bit earlier rather than up here. I want her introduced up here. Experiencing it, and then I know, like, okay, the writer didn't just forget to have a main point of view character. The writer's intentionally saying all this weird liminal space stuff is happening to our character Kim. And then it feels a bit more intentional. But with the phone charges, I'm still standing better than I ever did. You got this, Heidenheart. I do intentionally a lot. I'll say this person is of this descent or that descent, but not actually go well beyond that. Instead, giving descriptors that are interpretive. For example, describing someone as beautiful, but not giving the specific thing that makes them beautiful. So the reader can attach what they want. It depends. Sometimes readers want like a specific thing that you can use to describe that character later. Like if one character is always described as having like a large nose, and then or something like that, or one character is always described as having obnoxiously long hair, then it's fun to have those little interactions of like, oh, like the character B then swept their hair over and it was dragging on the floor, and your point of view character's like, how do they not trip on that? Right. You can have some more personality and spice to it. It just depends, though. Obviously, this is... I haven't seen the writing ever. This is just me saying shit about just general shit. It just depends. Everything can be... There are no rules, hard rules. There's no laws in writing. Everything can be bent depending on what you're trying to do. So this is gonna hurt. There was a flash of light in Kim's periphery that broke her out of her racing thoughts, and her head snapped to look in the direction it came from. Another run. I want this one cut into two. Squinting, her eyes scanned the sky through the filter of her nightshades to find a small dot in the distance. School of details, where if I bring it up, personally I feel obligated to justify it being that way. Ah, okay. I think as long as it works in the writing style, like if it works for the writing tone, for the story, for everything else, as long as it works, it works. The only time you gotta change something is when it doesn't work. That's the bit. Squinting, her eyes scanned the sky through the filter of her nightshades to find a small dot in the distance. Kim tucked her shoulder and tried to bank to her right to get closer, but the clouds quickly swallowed her, obscuring her vision. Was that a person? I could have sworn. Thomas wears her hair in a particular way because it's a carryover from her time in the military. Yeah, I think having details that also connect with a character's backstory or with a character's personality are stronger than just random details about their appearance. When it can tie into stuff we're supposed to learn about the character, I think that makes it stronger. So you say like the Mintaka side? Is that a person? I could have sworn. Another flash in front of her, and her question was answered with a massive thwomp of body-on-body contact. Oh, so she was like super close. And from here, I thought it was like further away. Okay, but super close. With a faint and quickly fading screech into the distance, the unknown person went careening into the sky above. Dazed, Kim shook her head before reaffixing her now crooked nightshades, there we go, and reoriented her body once more. Magical cataclysm answers the how of this, I suppose, Kim thought quizzically. Now where? No sooner did she have the thought, Kim cleared the clouds and realized several things all at once. Multiple flashes of light and bodies of varying sizes and shapes were now all around her. This many people, animals, and beasts appearing all at once meant whatever was happening was far worse than she could have imagined. I'm gonna guess beasts may refer to like magical beasts. That's different than animals. Because otherwise, if it's just both normal animals and one's like not unicorns or chimeras or something, then otherwise that's just a repeat. Okay, yeah. I would maybe clarify that, because otherwise this is our first intro to it, and that would be a stumbling block for somebody just like trying to understand why is animals and beasts different. But you say and magical creatures or magical beasts, that would at least clarify it. Being all at once meant whatever was happening was far worse than she could have imagined. However, what was even more worrisome was what was directly ahead of her. The landmass below was illuminated just enough for Kim to see in its final moments of dusk, and her heart sank even further. A few large islands with a sprawling coast beyond them, none of which she recognized. Being as well-traveled as she was, Kim had an excellent mind for terrain and maps, and what she saw was as foreign as another plane. So here, I think you mean like plane of existence, like dimension, but it's not quite handled. It's just a slight rephrase. Blinking away her momentary shock and confusion, she began looking around at the falling bodies in the sky. We can figure out where we are later. Have to think about surviving first. I've got... Looking below, Kim made some rough estimations of how far away the land was. 60 seconds? Shit. Kim's mind was racing now. No time. Lady Luck, find me a holy person in this falling horde. Preferably a cleric. Okay, so there are clerics. I'm wondering, because I had the idea when I read the summary before of, yeah, she's reincarnated in an alternate Earth. King struggles with the realities of memory loss. So I was wondering, like, oh, it almost sounds like an isekai, like an anime isekai. And even here, now that we're not even quite done with the second page yet, and I'm very much getting the vibes of, like, were you picturing an anime in your head, like an animated type thing, when you were writing this? Looking to her left, she banked to the nearest person, but was knocked spinning off course as the body flew up between them. Floating on her back, she quickly glanced at the few people around her that seemed to have their wits about them. Just above her, a figure with their back to her had their arms clutched in front of them. No movement or hand gestures, so probably not trying to cast a spell. Please be praying, for both our sakes. It's inspired by other books I've read. Okay. I was just wondering, because right now the pacing and the way the scenes are described is very similar a lot to I've had a couple writers who watch a lot of anime shows or anime TV type shows, and they're trying to write in a way that conveys the anime visual in their head, rather than writing it as a proper novel, which is slight different pacing, slight different descriptors, slight different. It's like a subtle thing, but it's a thing I've picked up on over time. So I was almost wondering, like, are you picturing this visually in your head and you're trying to convey the visual? But you've been saying that no, you're inspired by other books you've read. I'm curious. That's interesting. She threw her arms and legs wide, letting the drag and rush of air carry her upward. With a dull thud and clang of metal, Kim bear hugged the figure. Desperately clasping and clawing at their breastplate and buckles, she shimmered her way to the front of the figure to stare at the blank visage of their helmet. Kim's eyes flicked down briefly at their hands to see they were indeed holding something small and ornate that was tied around their neck. Thank the gods, they're praying. Please be a cleric. Please be a cleric. Grasping at their shoulders, Kim pulled them in close, took a deep breath, and screamed. I can shift us a short distance, but it only works with willing people. I think it's our best way out of this. There was a brief pause before the figure shook their head and shrugged. Muffled words echoed and vibrated from the helmet, but Kim couldn't fully understand them. Great, Kim sighed. They don't speak the common language of man. Oh, hold on, my lo-fi beats. Hold on, I'm sorry. There we go. I do watch a lot of anime and read a lot of manga as well, so there probably was some subconscious stuff going on. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'm like, normally when this particular style of writing, this way it's being phrased and paced, I'm like, this feels a lot like a lot of my writers that are coming from that large anime and manga background. So okay, at least I wasn't totally crazy picking up on it this time too. Like, normally when I pick it up, I've been pretty accurate with it so far. There were even some new raccoons at occasional points in time, like, and they get read like the same day or like the next stream that they're here. And I start reading their stuff, and I'm like, oh, are you a large anime fan? They're like, oh, how did you know? And I'm like, yeah, because I could pick up on it. It's a very particular thing. So they don't speak the common language of man. Wrapping her legs around the figure's waist, Kim mounted herself securely and began frantically pointing and using simple hand gestures and screaming short words in Elven. The problem with sometimes when a story is well written, to the readers will be able to see a story in their heads, like a movie in their heads. When it's written well as a novel, the readers will be able to picture a movie, or an anime, or insert whatever visual medium they'll be able to. When the writers try to write it as a movie, or as an anime, or insert whatever visual medium, it's off. It's just off. It's slightly. I would definitely say focus more on looking at the recent novels you read and mimicking that style and the way that they're doing stuff. Because whenever a writer's trying to make a movie in their head into a novel, it's off. It's just slightly off. But yeah, normally I pick up on it a lot, especially with my anime manga people. There's a very particular way that they describe things, and the way that the dialogue sounds, and the way the scenes work, and the way the characters act, and I'm like, oh, you're from the anime manga background. And that's not as a judgy thing. Like, Lord knows, I fucking watch so much anime, especially when I was a younger Cryptid. I was one of the anime nerds. I was in an anime club in high school. Like, This is not a derogatory thing at all. I'm just saying for a novel, it doesn't work. Sometimes for web novels, because they are those kind of in-between of a lot of web novels even get turned into manga or manhwa or anime adaptations later. For some web novels, we can kind of, they kind of skim the line, they can do it. But for normal novels, I'd say focus more on looking at other novels and replicating that. Wynonna Earp. Oh my god, I remember watching that show. It's been so long, I barely remember anything in it, but I remember fucking loving her. Which I would take on that is not say that she speaks Elven, have her actually do it. Also be wary of Tolkien copyrights, they are aggressive. You can have elves in your story. You might not be able to copy the exact Elvish that was in Tolkien's, but yeah. Makes sense and help with developing relation to have them not notice they're an elf in this intense moment, but when they calm down, it becomes a deal. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah. Yeah, Tolkien does not have copyright on elves. Yeah, you're fine. So, but as long as you don't copy like the exact fantasy language Tolkien used, you're all good. Let me see here. I'm not sure. I think it could be, some people definitely like writing out the language in Elvish. Other people don't. I think both are fine and valid. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do that. I think it's fine not having the language here. And else specifically, there's one that trips up a lot of people. What is? I have not heard of this. Tolkien copyright helps. Let's see here. Which has the Lord of the Rings. Cannot copy his unique character names or specific world building. Hobbits are intellectual property. The Ents, which I think were the tree guys, right? Are intellectual property. I don't see anything specifically for the elves. And there's also like Christmas elf, like, that have used it. Like Buddy the Elf. So I think that's fine. Via mentors. So like, I haven't heard that. I'm not gonna tell you if that's right or wrong, because again, I'm not a copyright lawyer, and even if I was, I'm not your copyright lawyer. I'm a random blooba on the screen. So Mirkwood elves are just like spooky gothic forest elves. You can have elves in a forest. You just can't use the copyright words Legolas as an elf. You can't use Mirkwood as your elf forest. You cannot copyright the exact fucking names. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm so sorry, no, wait. You can have elves in a forest. You can have elves in a spooky elf forest. You're fine. Not that that's what's happening here. I'm just saying, like, no, you're fine. But you cannot make an elf named Legolas for your commercial piece. That's not. What's Legolas's fucking dad's name? Fuck. The one that everyone has the theory of if he's blind or not. I forget his name. Those are not the same as Tolkien, though. Yeah. Yeah, Sylvan elves, wood elves, things like that. Even World of Warcraft with the blood elves, stuff like that. Everything's fine. Everyone uses elves. We're all fine. So let's see here. Screaming short words in Elven. You, me, we. She pointed furiously back and forth. Teleport, blink, transfer. She flicked and splayed her fingers as she spoke. Left, then right. Left, right. Yes? There was a rough, shuddering nod that slowly became furious acceptance as the figure appeared to piece together her intentions. Gandalf winced. That's literally in public domain translations of the poet. Okay. Well, also... Gandalf wasn't an elf, so I think if you did make an elf Gandalf, that's still original, right? That's still different. Dark elves and light elves come from Norse myth too. Belkaphon, yeah. And it's even in its other versions of it too. It's all in D&D. It's the name of a dwarf in Norse myth. Yeah, see, so like, it's all good. Um, there was a rough, shuddering nod that slowly became furious acceptance as the figure appeared to piece together her intentions. Kim pulled the figure's head in close and quickly glanced at the rapidly approaching earth below them. 30 seconds. Need trees, bushes. Kim thought as her eyes frantically darted back and forth. There. Straining to turn and angle their bodies, Kim aimed for a wide patch of thin, banded-looking trees and dense undergrowth. Fire, then trees. Blink back, trees again. Kim shivered in tense anticipation. I'm already sore thinking about this. As the trees quickly approached, Kim's red eyes glowed with a deep-seated anger as she took in a massive, shuddering breath. So even stuff like this, it's kind of described like being anime. One, because we're third person. We're close third person because we're hearing Kim's thoughts. These are it's italicized. These are Kim's actual thoughts. We are over her shoulder. We are in her brain. We are in Kim's head, hearing Kim's thoughts. But then having a description of her red eyes glowing, that's more distant third person. That's more third person omniscient. Something further away, view of God, ego point of view, looking at Kim, rather than being in Kim's head, in her brain, in the brain. Because Kim cannot look at herself right now and see her own red eyes. So third person is a little tricky with that. We do have two different types of third person, close and more omniscient. So double check that. But it gets tricky because in anime, like I was saying, we have just the visual medium. So we're seeing descriptions like the character having red eyes. We're having them have different stuff like that. But we also normally hear that voice actor saying aloud the anime character's thoughts. Such as like, oh great, they don't speak the common language of man. It would be like the close-up of the character's face being like, oh, and we hear their internal thoughts with the voice actor. That's why I'm like, oh, this feels like an anime. And not do anything previous with side-eye using Gandalf as a unless it's like satire. Like if you're doing some like jokey spin-off jokey thing, then like people are gonna expect you to use stuff like that. Like I said, there's always that like one random circumstance, and like yeah, if you're doing like a parody thing or satire of the Tolkien stuff, no, that makes sense. Kim felt her eyes grow hot. She knew that she had a mirror, they'd be glowing. But that's still a little awkward. So I'm just saying like that's something to be aware of. Choose what point of view you want. Close third person, where you can hear her thoughts directly. Like you just write out her thoughts in italics. Or more omniscient third person, in which case then you could have descriptions such as Kim's red eyes, but then stuff like this, the exact internal thoughts would be slightly rephrased. It would be just Kim looked around frantically, realizing she had 30 seconds left. You would be narrating her thoughts rather than doing the exact thoughts. It's just choosing which point of view you want. Neither one of them is right or wrong. It's just whichever one you feel more natural writing in, that you think you're a stronger writer in, and which one you think stirs the story more. Like the same creature in Old Norse myth. I haven't heard that before. That's interesting. Oh, my cold water's getting slightly less cold. Oh, I hate that. I like going to really cold water. Let's see. Red eyes glowed with a deep-seated anger as she took in a massive, shuddering breath. So yeah, the other person was like angry, and now Kim's angry. Shaping her mouth to try and put out as much forward force as she could to slow their momentum. She breathed out fiercely. With a deafening screech, the Dragonborn released a torrent of orange and white flame in front of them, before tucking her shoulder and tensing her glittering pale orange scales. Having those details later when characters have time to react to it. That's a good point too. Green leaves and wood pulp filled the air around the two as branches and trunks snapped and exploded on their descent. Each impact jarred Kim's senses as she fought through the searing pain. Then the tree's assault ended as they were jettisoned out the other side of the woodland. Or even say, screw you guys, it's perfect. Exactly. Like I said, this is free advice, it's free critique. If it doesn't work for you, if you don't like it, if we're not seeing the vision, you could throw the critique in the garbage. Hey, it doesn't cost you nothing. It's all good. It won't hurt my feelings. Only a first draft with a second, third pass, so any feedback is good feedback. I wouldn't worry too much about doing, unless you're already like finished with the novel, you're just letting it see the prologue. That's also valid. I wouldn't worry about doing too many like second, third, fourth, fifth passes on part of a story until you're like done with the story, until the entire rough draft is like done. Because otherwise, what I see a lot of writers struggle with is they keep just going over, just like a little hamster in a wheel, just being busy and burning themselves out on one part, and they just get, and then that one part's perfect, and they're like, sweet, and then either they don't continue finishing the piece, finishing the whole entire novel or whatever it is, whatever the project is, or then they keep just adding in like a few more paragraphs and then stopping and making those paragraphs perfect over months, and then they spend years and they're only like chapter 2 in, and they don't have a finished story. And that's a bad thing, because by the time, let's say they spend all these years and spend a lifetime and they make this perfect story, the words are all nice. It's very nice prose. The actual physical writing is nice. But now you had to do developmental edits. Oh, hey, thank you for the hydrated dihydrate. Here's your sippy. Thank you. And that might be someone looking at it and being like, hey, your first 3 chapters need to be cut. And then that writer's like, I spent 5 years and they're perfect chapters. What are you talking about? And they're like, but the character changed. Your main character changed. It's inconsistent with this. It's not plot relevant to this thing later. It's because you want to finish that first draft. Do all the developmental edits. And slowly work down. And then by the end, your final stage, then you're working on making all the prose pretty. But you want that story done. God, no, you've seen everything I've written. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about like even a critique like this or even an edit thing. I would say really recommend get your story beats down, get an outline done, and then do the first draft of your story, because I don't want you stuck in the hamster wheel fixing everything and making it perfect. You're very back and forth writer like that, because I will forget details if I don't. Yeah, see that you built one theme and then realize your beginning supports to know what. Yeah, that happens a lot. A book in college, and a warehouse turned into a church after 5 chapters because I didn't make any edits along the way. Again, the edits come at the end. You can even see here, I have this little thing here. I have my little joke here. This is how Cryptid does a shitty rough draft. So I said, blah, blah, blah. I can't think of a cool intro, but it's introduced my main character, bitch has no name yet, after she killed the dragon. Right, so I had that intro. And then I went on to, it's revealed she's part dragon, and then she stabs the dragon dead. And then I was like, okay, fuck it. I hate that intro. Skip ahead, then that scene can be a flashback later. The first scene will be in a tavern, D&D style. And then I said, no, I hate that. Opening scene goes back to the dying dragon. Don't delete, start new. And then I changed it, like, okay, it could be a dragon shopping mall. We're changing the scenario. You don't delete anything. You just keep working on stuff. You keep making notes. And then whatever version the final piece takes, then I'll go back and I'll edit stuff. You got to chapter 13 4 times. I kept rewriting. I fixed this by going from chapter 12 to 14 until I finished. You see, I'm a perfectionist and my own worst critic. I must know all the details at the time of writing. It's so hard to finish a book that way, baby. I'm so sorry. I did that for many, many years. I think even when I was first in college for creative writing, I was still kind of that type of writer. It took afterwards. It took at college level, and then when I picked it up a few years later after I stopped. It took a couple years to realize, like, oh yeah, I can just get all the stuff done in a rough draft. I need to finish a draft before I perfect it. It took a long time. Armstrong throws a dragon's head on the floor to the gasp of the nobility. Dragon's dead. You come into my chat. You come here into my virtual living room where I host everyone that write a critique group, and you write a better intro to my fake story than I ever could. How dare you? Man, no, I'm joking. That's really funny though. But I can't DM a game of D&D. You're a much better player. Oh. It'll be a good exercise. You could try it. You could be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try being a DM. Let's do a one-shot. Let me try doing a one-shot. That's always how they get you. You start off with a one-shot, and then it's like five like game days later, and you're like, fuck! So anyway, so our characters have landed. One more time. Kim's thoughts were clouded and shaky as the gold filigree of the cloak at her back shimmered briefly before it folded in on itself. In a puff of black smoke, they blinked out of existence as they were transported to face the trees and their onslaught once more. Kim screamed and furrowed her brow in a boiling rage as tears built up behind her tight-shut eyes, and they flew through the trees for the second time. 7 years later, why am I still the DM? That's how they get ya. That's how they get ya. When I hosted my own, it wasn't like official D&D, I wasn't following D&D rules, I was doing my own thing. When I did a thing like, hey, I had this world, I have this idea, I have this concept for like a D&D type thing. I did it for Roots and some of their friends. It was a werewolf themed campaign, fantasy werewolf themed campaign for the Werewolf King. And it was just supposed to be a one-shot, and then I think it took 2 or 3 game days to finish that little one-shot. You tried it a couple times, didn't work out. Oh no. Yeah, so it will be a thing to like be like, okay, how can I improve? You did, however, play Kim for 5 years. Oh, so this is your D&D character? That's neat. As they exited into the space beyond, time seemed to slow, and Kim felt as if she was back in that peaceful void in the absence of the forest and its pain. But the reprieve was short-lived. The resounding thud and a piercing crack, their bodies met the earth. Dirt and grass exploded into the air. Bodies tumbled and sailed, bones shattered. Disoriented, lost in an escalating anguish, Kim's grip faded, and her unknown companion sailed off into the night. Oh, it's already night? Thought it was dusk, and they landed after 60 seconds. So shouldn't it still be dusk? Shouldn't it still be sunset? Note, the following is still in a first draft phase. Edits have been minor, so spelling, grammar, and sentence structure could be sus. That's still fine. Minor details. I like how you just went through this whole entire thing. I'm like, no, I'm a perfectionist. I need to keep editing it so it's perfect. And then I point out like, oh, did the time change? And you're like, shh, no. Don't worry about it. Close your eyes, just pretend. Oh, that's funny. And I think every writer knows that. I think every writer knows that feeling. You're in good company. We all know that vibe. We're like, oh, fuck. And my little ballerina's one, the post-apocalyptic one, when they're walking around in the nuclear fallout zone, and I'm describing their suits. People are like, do you understand what type of stuff you need to be in a nuclear fallout site? Like, what do they have all the stuff? Do you understand this? And I was like, shh. No, we're here for vibes. We're here for vibes. They're cute little girls in hazmat suits. That's the vibe. She was above the clouds, it was bright, now she's in the forest, it's dark in the shadows. There, retconned. It just depends. If it's, that would be like a close third-person point of view then, because then it's all from Kid's point of view. And what she's physically seeing. You can go in a radioactive wasteland with no protection. Once. It's like you can eat anything that's poisonous. Once. When you self-published your first novel, it was only then that my editor, not a professional, and I caught that I called a character by the wrong name twice, back to back in the final chapter. Rest in peace, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, my heart hurts for you. There was, I forget who it was, but they, it's one of my raccoons here sometimes, and they submit their piece, and we've read their prologue and their first few chapters a little bit. I think we've done it twice now, because we did the first 2 chapters in the prologue, and then they edited, and then we were reading through stuff again. It's the But when we were reading the prologue, they have the main character, and then for a couple times in the middle, they changed the spelling um, of how that character was called. It's like the similar name, but they just slightly misspelled it. And then at the end again, it's the normal spelling again. So it's just this random couple, like page or page and a half, where they changed the spelling of the name, and I was like, wait, what? Working with my Marcus marked initiate. It's all good. Honestly, I haven't been struggling with those, with the marked versus initiate. In the beginning, I had more notes about the revenants and the seraphim sounding too close. It was hard to tell like what is the demony guys and what's just part of the gang. And I wish that had been more explained, because every time it would be like, oh, one of the revenants needed something, or one of the seraphim needed something, and I was like, wait, is this like a random human crew member, or is it part of the one of the demony guys? I was a little confused in the beginning, but I was like, oh, that needs to be explained more. But the marked and initiate, I kind of picked up on that right away. I'm like, oh, that's not too bad. Next thing they call him to get a berry. Hi Eli, it's good to see you. Starts switching with Fletcher, so she was on screen signing a treaty. Then Streezy turned from the screen to continue to drink with Fletcher. Oh, mixing up characters with that similar sounding beginning. Let's see. With a dull wooden thump, Kim's head lolled back into the very solid, large, and what most certainly would have been fatal tree behind her. She groaned and hacked up thick clots of blood and dirt before taking a slow, deep, and anguished breath. The air shuddered and bubbled through her mouth and into her lungs. Or rather, lung. Kim's vision was blurred and fractured through the shattered lenses of her nightshades, but through the purple and white filter, there was no mistaking the telltale sheen of the bloodied and broken rib protruding from her cracked and strangely angled scales. This one's a run-off. With each ragged and labored breath, there was a faint whistle as the thick trail of blood bubbled up and foamed around the bone. Blinking slowly, there was also a searing pain from her right eye. Raising her hands to feel at her face, she was slowly coming to the fearful realization at just how bad this really was. I don't know why, I've been slipping up on words all day, not even just during stream. It's been all day. Her left hand made it to her face, where she felt the magic glass protruding from her eye, but her right arm didn't meet the left. Craning her neck to look, her one good eye was unable to see through the fractured lens and past her long snout to observe the fiery numbness in her dominant arm. Kim's head drooped forward and the world spun around her as she fought to stay conscious, to live. Her thoughts started to roll in waves as she took stock of everything. Broken rib, her mind swirled, punctured lung. Her chest heaved and bubbled. One eye, one working arm. Kim grunted and whimpered as she reached over and felt the sinewy strands of exposed muscle and tendon barely holding together her dangling, dislocated arm. She wrote Barry's name and realized she was stealing Bridget's dialogue. Oh no! Only found out because Bridget's dialogue is so distinct. Yep, we've all done it. We've all done it. Definitely concussed, and Kim tried to move but fell to the side. Pretty sure my back's broken. So one thing here, we have had no, okay, this is continuation here. It's fine. It's not technically a time skip. So I'm wondering, what made you decide that this was a prologue versus chapter 1? I'm just curious. I'm just curious if you had a reason. Like, where does chapter 1 pick off? That's not the prologue. Propping herself up on the only part of her that seemed to work, Kim's head bobbed and dipped involuntarily as she looked around at the trail of carnage from her descent and the scattered supplies from her pack. Need a potion. Kim's vision was dimming. Any amount will do. There was despair in her heart as her thoughts grasped at the false hope. Let's see. Spotting a familiar case of hardened leather and bent sheet metal, Kim reached across her body and angled the joint of her shoulder back into the socket before flopping to the dirt. With an audible snap, one problem was solved. Shit, Kim hissed as sparks and smoke rose from her mouth. She whimpered and winced as she pounded her head lightly into the dirt. The book has a joke in it where a dude wrote an extremely important... report on a species wherein he made a mistake and humanity collectively went, "You're not living that down." Oh, I think you've mentioned that before. Yeah. And now refers to the species he did that report by that misspelling. Yeah, little funny little bits. The history is full of stuff like that. That actually makes it more plausible. If you're ever curious about history, it's full of crazy wonky shit like that. It's so funny. History has always had people in it doing crazy stupid people shit. Oh my god. Oh, we're actually almost done. Sweet. I was gonna be like, oh, how much longer can I read? But no, we're almost done. Lightly into the dirt. Sighing, she began clawing at the grass as she inched toward her only hope, dragging her open wounds and exposed rib through the dirt. Dirt and dirt's repeated. Though with the added burn of the earth being packed into and dragged out of her wounds, it might as well have been a bed of fresh, smoldering, igneous rock. I'm so glad I was just able to pull out, like, how's that fucking said again? I'm like, oh yeah, igneous rock. It's been too long since I had to read that. Have a good one, Deshead. As she reached the case, her eyes closed for a few seconds longer than she intended, as she took in several labored breaths. Her heart hammered in her chest over the effort of moving just 12 feet through the gouged and pitted earth. Fighting to get back onto her elbow, Kim forced her eye open, grabbed the case, and flicked the top open with one sharp claw. Taking a slow breath, Kim prepared herself for all the worst before angling the case and peering inside. The thin tubes of glass were all cracked, shattered, or broken, but 3 of the 6 had varying levels of liquid still in them. Barely a potion's worth, Kim sighed and her head drooped low. It's not enough, she thought, but it's a start. And that is what we got so far for the prologue. So, alright, so we pointed out some, like, little itty-bitty things. We were pointing out, I think the biggest thing is it feels a lot like, trying to physically write down what you visually see in anime, like an opening anime cool intro scene, and I don't think it's quite hitting. I think focusing more on, okay, how do the novels, because you said that this was inspired by some novels you read, how do the novels physically do this? How do they get their point of view across? How are they describing the emotions and the feelings and the setting, to get that tone more of a novel rather than an anime being written out and explained to somebody, just to get that tone across. It's a very subtle thing, but I think that's the biggest thing holding you back right now. And I also say, again, I'm not shitting on anime stories. Lord knows, my main thing I started this channel with, right, the 3 Little Witches, when I was figuring out and planning that very quickly realized, I was like, oh, this needs to be a visual format. This needs to either be animated or this needs to be in a comic type thing, like something visual, because that's just what it was asking for. That's what the story needed. And I had to pivot and work on that. But I will say, like, then I pivoted, then I was writing it as a TV script, and I was researching, I was figuring out, how do I write a script? How do I write an anime script? How do I write a comic script? How do I do all these things? So if you see this visually, if you are inspired by the anime isekai stuff, if you want your D&D character here, Kim, to be in this visual scene, it's not a bad thing. That's nothing to knock at. I would just say, hey, write this in a script format then, because then that's how you're seeing it. That's how it wants to come across. That's the type of tone and vibe you're going for, which in its current stage, that's what I'm like, that's what it's trying to be. So just decide if you either want this to be a novel, if you truly in your heart of hearts see this as a novel. I'd say, like, lean more into those novels you were inspired by, see how they were pulling it off. Or if in your heart of hearts you were like, oh yeah, well, it was kind of supposed to be this anime or comic or D&D inspired type thing, start manifesting, start writing it as a script, because that will be the best way to tell that character's story, possibly. You've done a lot from Berserk for my French story, but I mostly pulled, like, the little everyday stuff from it, along with the when the gore gets ugly and otherworldly. That's interesting. I haven't read Berserk, so maybe that's why I wouldn't be able to specifically pull. That was one of your inspirations for the French story that you submitted before, just because I haven't read Berserk. But that's a pretty famous one, right? Berserk's pretty popular. I think a lot of people know and reference that. I wonder if other people who do know Berserk, if they read the French story, if they would be able to pull that association out, they'd be able to recognize it. You need it? Zata was doing so good on the horror and the monsters for their story. I was amazed. I was learning a lot from them for the horror elements. I was like, ooh, that's really good. I love the choir pigs. I love some of the other monsters in it, but I loved the hand, the giant unnatural arm thing under the water. They had some cool monsters in their piece that I was like, ooh. I actually started writing this just for fun after a card game I was working on stalled out. My friends don't want to help you play test. Oh no. Yeah, when we're doing fun creative stuff like that, we need the people in the room. We need to be like, give me some volunteers. We need to test this stuff. When you're doing writing, you need critique partners. When you're doing games, you need play testers. When you're doing all the different stuff, we need those little random voluntold people from the audience to help us out. And Jules turns right across the countryside. It's going to be grueling and heartbreaking. Aww. I have a section of my book inspired by the book Between Two Fires, which is very Dark Souls Berserk coded. Ooh, okay. So very, very much you guys both know Berserk. So I'm wondering, like, Kindheart, now that since you know Berserk, were you able to pull out, like if you had read it, Zatara's piece blind, I'm wondering if you'd be able to be like, oh yeah, this reminds me of Berserk, or was the French story so unique, so up in its own thing that you couldn't be like, oh, I had no idea this was inspired by this Berserk and these elements, but it's so cool that it was. Sometimes you can see those inspirations. In one chapter with Sundry, I'm like, how do I say this without giving away one of the mysteries? And again, you don't need like everything to be a mystery. Sometimes characters do know stuff and they would reveal stuff, and then that's how it be. That's not one of the plot point mysteries. It's okay that characters work together and figure stuff out and know things. If it makes sense for them to know things and share that info. Then the thing just be like, okay, now that we know this, what the fuck do we do with this info? Like, how does that impact the story? I can still hear you. All good, what? We should meet up for brainstorming! To read it again or hear it again. It's hard for me to focus on stories beyond technical things on stream. Ooh, so you're a much more technical writer. That's why I always say it's so good to have more people in the chat who also give critique and feedback, because you guys pick up on stuff that I don't necessarily. I'm always looking for bigger picture stuff, tone, writer voice, pacing, stuff like that. And then if I notice little nitpicky things like some grammar or spelling stuff, I'll point it out if I notice it, but I'm not the best at it. But people who are more minded for that, I think, it's so helpful to have them and hear a wide variety of different things to help put it together. So going back, Ray, you said, Rays, so yeah, it's just a little for fun thing. So normally, when I'm trying to give feedback, I'm trying to give it that will help the writer the most with what their goal is for the piece. So since this is just a fun little thing to do. It's just a hobby. It's just for fun. It's just for the joy of writing and for story making for your D&D character that you've been playing with for so many years. Then I kind of feel bad. I'm like, oh, then I wouldn't have. It's hard to when something's just for joy. It sometimes doesn't need critique because there's not necessarily any right or wrong way of just doing a fun hobby project, and that's for all sorts of hobbies. But if you did have an ambition for this, if you were wanting this to go in a certain way, if there was something you wanted to improve on, then I don't mind focusing the critique on that. Like I said, it was just the general feedback of like, oh, I don't know if you want this to be a novel or if this is supposed to be a script. I think that would be my first big critique. Normally I give 1 or 2 pieces of critique for anything. So if there was something, if there was a direction you want to take this piece into, I don't mind tailoring the other piece of advice for that. But otherwise, I think that's it. It's fine, and it's meets all its goals. if it's a character you love and it's a story you love and it's just for the fun and joy of it. Anything else is maybe doing it for not its purpose, right? I'm giving advice for like if this was supposed to be a traditionally published novel. And if it's not supposed to be that, then hey, my advice ain't helping you then. It's just dragging down the vibes. It's not doing anything for you. So I'd rather give like advice that you would see is actually useful. Publish something eventually, but it's so new and okay, so fun. For now, but even then, always room for improvement. Yeah, that's anyone, even like those super fancy traditionally published authors who have like 20,000 books under their belt. We're always improving. That's everyone. It's an art rather than a science, and we're always improving at our art. For just like taking it in general for advice for any project in the future, then I would say we already pointed out like, oh, be consistent with your point of view. There's some mix up with close third person and more omniscient third person, and I would say even stuff like some of the sentences we're getting a little run on, or even if they're not technically run on, they're still having multiple subjects in it, so the sentences are getting a little convoluted, where multiple things are happening in one sentence, that you could splice the sentence into 2 or 3 more impactful sentences, each one with that subject or with that action that's happening, and it would have a better flow and it would read more naturally, and then the cool stuff happening on screen is more impactful. It seems more cool. If you don't cringe when you go back and read something you wrote a decade ago you aren't developing. I don't necessarily cringe. I can notice things, and I've even shown that with the ballerina stories, the last ballerina stories. There we go. Blah, I can say words. Where I did all the editing at the time, and I got all the critique from my college classmates that I could, and I applied everything that I could. But now it's been a few years, I can go back on it with more distant eyes, with better trained eyes. And there's not a single page of that I didn't have some markup or critique on now that I would fix, that I would improve on. But that doesn't necessarily mean I cringe at it. I can just look back and see like what I was trying to do, and the best that my abilities at that time could do, and what was cool and exciting for me then. And I'm trying really hard not to like cringe at my past self. I'm trying really hard not to like cringe at my old creative projects. I'm trying hard not to cringe at like my old fashion sense, or what silly things I did when I was a preteen or a teenager or a young college student who was stupidly in love and was like engaged to somebody that I should not have been engaged to because they were not a cool person. They were not a good person for me. So I never try to cringe at my past self, but I can always see the room for improvement, the stuff that I got better at. I can even show that, just for any new raccoons who are like, oh, Cryptid's doing all this critique. What kind of stuff does she have here? So you can see this was the last bound. This is something I wrote in my creative writing class in college, and then I got feedback, and then I got critique, and then I rewrote it, and this was the final draft. And now this is me looking back on it. And you can see I have all these notes, all these fixes that this one has a lot. Look at this. Just the wall of stuff that I would fix. And it's a short piece. It's not even a full 6 pages. And there's that many critiques that I would change and fix for it now. But that's not me hating my past self. My novel isn't about chasing a novel. It's about chasing the ability to say, that's enough, and let it out into the world. 100%. And I think that's also, sometimes people get in that chase of writing it, like we said earlier, writing the perfect novel the first time. And it's like, write your shitty first draft. Say that's enough, get that shitty rough draft out, and now you can fix it. Make it terrible, so that way you can make it good. And then you'll do all your rounds of editing. Your developmental edits, maybe 1 or 2 rounds of developmental edits. It can take a couple. Because sometimes when you do one fix for a developmental edit, it accidentally makes more plot holes that now you got to fix in the second lap. So it's developmental edits, the line edits, then the copy edits, then the proofreading, all on and on and on. All the different stuff. And then once that's kind of done, relax. Then that's it. That's your story. Now you can work with something else. Oh hey, thank you for the follow, and hey, I hope you like hanging out with the Cryptid Cult. I will say, this has been a fun thought experiment so far into thinking about how D&D rules, items, etc. could or would function in real life. Modern day AU for D&D. hello, hello, welcome on in. We were just finishing up our first read. We got a few other reads lined up for tonight. But yeah, we're giving little critique and feedback. If that's kind of your vibe, if that's something you'd like to do in the future, or you'd like to give your own advice and critique in the chat, whatever level you're at, welcome on in. But yeah, I definitely feel like D&D I always view it as it's a tabletop role-playing game, and it's not necessarily like you have to be in the classic medieval fantasy D&D world. If you want to change it and it's like, okay, we're in a shopping mall in the 1970s, and we're all hanging out and we're all gnomes in a shop. It's whatever you want it to be. It's just the mechanics for a storytelling game, but you can do whatever. It says, what are you doing? It's a religious thing. Oh my god. Hold on. Yeah, don't worry about it. The less rules and more guidance. Exactly. Shadowrun is a really good urban version of D&D. Yeah. D&D can be whatever you want. It's just a role-playing game. It's just a story-telling game for friends. That's all it be. So let me go ahead. That is that. Well, I'm going to put the Weave screen up for a second while I load up to see who's next in the thing in the queue. All hail the Weave screen. Let me get rid of this. But otherwise, thank you so much, Raze. I'm glad that it was a useful bit for you. That you got some feedback, you got some ideas for like, okay, if I want to continue this, what's something to keep in mind? And not even just this project, but other projects, other creative endeavors you're going to work on in the future. You're like, oh yeah, here are some little things for me to keep in mind to help me with that early first draft to get it as close to the finished draft as possible. As I know my perfectionist writers like to do. Damn it. Kim's looks up to the Tavern Keep. Guess I had to pay you 15% extra today. The Tavern Keeper is just like, oh, well, shit, sure, yeah, I ain't gonna argue with you with that. All hail the Weave screen. Let me see, it might be something, so there's people sign up for the slots now in the Discord, Zathra. I have slots that I open up and people can just choose the slots. So let me see, that was off, where is it? Story submissions, okay. Let me see, that was Raze. Next up is what? But I think they left for family time in real life. So after that, it would actually be Mita. Mita's backup. Is it Mita or Mita? Oh wait, no, you're here. Never mind. Okay, what is here? What? Never mind. Was it Death's Head? Oh, okay, it was Death's Head. I don't know why I mixed you two up. That's so funny. So what is here? Let me go ahead and get their story ready. It's over here. Oh my god. So Raze, your current piece is deleted, just so that way you know it's not saved. I don't keep it, it's deleted. Let me see. What? Let's see. Stark Fantasy, The Forgotten Prince, Chapter 8. General feedback. Got it. Okay. Control C. Get over here, mouse. Over here. There we go. You said chapter 8. Chapter 8. So we're here on the side. And then it's for what, 16? I'm gonna change the order the questions are in for the next version so that it's easier for me to scroll through and see things that I need quickly. That might be something I do for version 3. Oh no, me. Oh no, I clicked on the wrong thing. Please no. Please, I'm a professional. There we go. There's a lovely writer in the top right hand. I think I'll stick with my method of close and distant third person following King because I like it for some weird reason. No, it's never for a real reason. That's the voice you like. That's what you're vibing with. That's how you want to do it. It's not for a real reason. That's what you want. You'll go for more of the web novel? Nice. Yeah, I think I would, in that case, if that's the vibe you're going for, I would definitely read more web novels and pick up on that pacing that some really good web novels can accomplish. There is a particular voice, there's a particular vibe for well-established, well-done web novels. Some of them lean more towards traditional novel, and those ones are good too, whereas they could have been a traditional novel, traditionally published novel, it's just they're a web novel instead. But even for web novels, there's sometimes a very specific style and format. They can get away normally with shorter paragraphs, punchier paragraphs and sentences, little quicker because they're doing more consistent. There is a style that web novels can do and pull off well, and if that's the vibe you're going for, I would research that and read some good ones with that, to kind of pick up on that vibe. I sound in third person, but I find it so difficult to write in sometimes. I'm just curious. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I'm just curious. A lot of people that I see when they are struggling with third person, or it's just not coming across well, sometimes they're just getting mixed up between the close third person, like in the brain of the character point of view, and then the more distant, more eye of God, third person point of view. Because there are technically two different types of third person point of view. And normally when people are like don't like it, or it's kind of like that, sometimes they're just struggling between those two. Other times they're just switching between past and present tense. There's like a couple little like trip ups that I see people struggle with third person point of view. Or it could also just be a voice thing. Like you're like, nah, I never get the voice for my characters right across. I like writing better in first person. Sometimes it's just a preference. Hi Nevermore, you prefer third person? I would say, for me personally, for what I naturally write in, I do naturally write in third person point of view more. It's just what comes to my brain well, and there's no like right or wrong reason for it. It's just what comes naturally to you as a writer, or sometimes for that particular story. I think sometimes I try writing in first person. I don't think I'm a very good first person point of view writer. It just doesn't come naturally to me. I will say, for when they were here, Bobicus was an incredible first person point of view writer. Bobicus did that really well. It felt very natural across. We read 2 of their different works, and they did first person point of view really well. Then head to bed. Thanks. Have a wonderful night, Raze. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you for being a wonderful raccoon, submitting your stuff for critique on a live stream. I always say I know that's really scary at first, especially for some of my newer raccoons, but I hope you weren't too scary. I hope it was a pretty nice thing, and thank you so much for trusting us with your work. Have a wonderful night. New writers often work with first person. Do you think that's a newer thing? When Gamma I'm an old lady now. When Gamma Cryptid was growing up and was a young Cryptid back in my heydays, I feel like it was kind of the default to normally try and write third person, but now I'm hearing a lot that a lot of traditionally published books, a lot of writers, there's been a shift, and a lot of people are writing more first person. Is anyone else noticed that shift? Most writers in my classes start in first person. As it's present tense. It's not present tense, second person. No, I think there were definitely some people who could pull it. Now, am I biased against second tense point of view? Second person point of view, present tense? Yeah, I do have a bias towards it. But if it works, it works. That's why I always say there's no laws. I always just say if you're pulling it off, then it's great. If you're not pulling it off, then like, hey, you maybe need to consider changing that. You feel like you're writing too many personal pronouns. Oh, like too many she's and he's kind of thing, and it gets too convoluted and confusing. You use third, but then some of it's in first person. My lo-fi beats. Gotta restart my lo-fi beats already again. Might depend on genre, that's true. Most people that start out often do that because they write what they know. You want to be good at first, but my stories keep mutating too much to stick to one perspective. Romance is shifting to first. Ooh, that's an interesting. I feel like romance and romantasy is so popular now. Maybe that's why I've heard that there's a lot of shift for like to first person, because romance and romantasy has such a stranglehold on the current market. There's nothing wrong with regardless of tenses. It's always been a matter of your prose and style. That's why I always say, as long as you can pull it off, then it works. If you can't, consider changing it. Oh my god. Is epilogue the after what happened? Yeah, so a prologue is before, epilogue is after. Yep, you got it right. I'll never take what TikTok says to heart, but I have seen some say they refuse to read. There's some crazy things. That's why I never got into the book talk community when I was more actively on TikTok. I never could get into the book talk community because sometimes the stuff over there is kind of crazy. There's crazy takes over on book talk. Like some people saying like, oh, I only read the dialogue. I never read any descriptions. Or there's too many words in this book. Or, whatever crazy take of the day is happening on Book Talk. I'm like, I don't need to know. That's not my vibe. That's not my tribe over there. I'm good. So let's see. We are continuing. This is chapter 8. You said general critique and feedback. But I also know this is a first draft. This is the first draft of this story. Oh my god, I'm looking over on the right hand section. Let me see if I can get it. You guys, I don't know if you guys can see. Do you guys see how far? We're so far behind on this story. You're already in chapter 19. Chapter 19. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Huge congrats on that. You should be so proud of getting so far in this piece. That's amazing. You've seen those videos. Yeah, it's great. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need to be part of any of that. I refuse to read their big words or 8. Oh my, stop. That was a thing recently on like threads, right? Oh my god. You want to read Handmaid's Tale so bad, but every time you read the first chapter, you're just like, no. I haven't read it. One, because there's just some, even though it's probably a great book for so many people to read, and it's so influential, and it's a great thing, it just has some things I for personal reasons, I'm not too comfy with. I can't read too much media involving those topics, and I'm like, oh, and it triggers me a little bit. So I'm like, no, for my own peace, I stay away from that stuff. It's the same reason I never watched or read Game of Thrones, because there's like some rapey stuff throughout Game of Thrones in both the books and in the show, and I just can't engage with that stuff too much. I'm like, oh, I did something to my headspace. It's too bad. Yeah. See, there's a hard nose for you in that one too. But yeah, is it just the content that makes you go no, or is it that writing that makes you go no? I'm curious. For most people, I've heard a lot of them really like it. It's a good thing. I haven't heard anything about the writing of it. The last one was and Threads. Threads had it too. Let's see. Chapter 17 was your Dinkelberg. But you're past it. You're already chapter 19. My book's probably not being marketed to people that know what a TikTok is. Hey, not... Hey, because again, like, even though it's a big influential community, like, hey, everyone and everything's kind of on, right? Like, hey, even your Blueba was on TikTok for a couple years, and I just didn't interact with that kind of stuff because it wasn't my vibe. I'm like, oh, whatever. I stayed in my lane. I found other things that I did like. The actual style, so not the content, but the writing style made you have a really strong reaction to it. That's interesting. Oh, I haven't heard that kind of stuff before. That's new. Let me see here. So we're starting with this. So I know this is let me slowly focus back. Yeah, I do have your name in the top right corner. Perfect. This is a first draft. So, and I always want to give you advice maybe for, not necessarily for the second draft, but just stuff to keep, because I'd rather you finish the book without me like giving you too many things that would keep you like going back and changing plot stuff. That kind of stuff is more like when you're done with the book, then we can look at big changes. So I'll see. I'll keep in my head. It's just a hard thing to do when it's before it's done. I never want to like give such a big piece of advice that it kind of derails the writer. The hearth burned bright as Alora sat in her father's chair. That's right. So this is back with 2 characters. For anyone new here, 2 characters are sisters, and they're royalty. They're royalty, but they're actually in this secretly poly, because it's not allowed in their kingdom to be a throuple. Basically, you have to be married just between 2 people in their kingdom. So they're royalty, but they're sisters. They're both with this Caldor, who's a knight, who's now the current king of their kingdom, because he married one of them. But he's having a kid with one of the sisters. The other ones no. Okay, you're in the final arc, so plot stuff could help you as well. Okay. So Alora's sitting in her father's chair. What am I doing wrong? The physician confirmed that me and Keldor aren't infertile. Then why can't we have children? Has Theratia cursed us? What if... No. There's no way that Keldor would allow another man to father his heirs. Damn it, Ren, you shouldn't have turned down Elric's offer, Alora thought. You keep running out of Google Drive storage? Oh my, I'm getting those notifications now. And it's so annoying because it happens at the same time. I guess what was happening is like whenever you take like the picture of the document, it like saves in the Google Drive. But I have multiple accounts. I had the official business one, the Cryptid Roots, right? For Cryptid Roots stuff. And I have like a personal one that's like my first last name at gmail.com. I have like a little spam one that I use for like reward stuff at different stores and for like on my like fanfiction.net. Not fanfiction. Archive of our own fanfiction stuff. All that stuff, right? Just my little things that on one of my main accounts. I guess whenever I was saying stuff, it was saving it to each of the fucking accounts at once, so it wouldn't be saved in like one account, like my main account. It was saved everywhere, so they all filled up at the same time. Oh my god, it's not even a save. It's triplicate. Everything got saved 3 times over. This insanity. Like, what the fuck's going on? Yeah, the picture storage. And we take a lot of product photography for Cryptid Roots, so every single photo I took for listings of our products for the Etsy store and stuff, every single one of them got saved to the Cryptid Roots email, my first last name email, and then to my little just like spam whatever nonsense email, right? Got saved all 3 of them. Insanity. I don't need that many goddamn triplicate pictures of the product photography when I already have the listing up. It's already done. So learn from my mistakes. Don't do that. Whatever setting that is, don't do that. Alora thought. A shallow knock rasped the door. Oh, it's a slight little thing. Just a knock. Knock is the sound. It's not grasping the door. It's not holding the door. So someone can knock and then someone can grasp the door handle, but I don't think they're doing both. The knock's not grasping it. That's slightly different. Come in, Alora said. Ilya slowly pushed the door open, eyes full of tears as she held a letter in her hands. Alora's eyes widened and her heart stopped. Ilya, what's wrong? Alora asked, eyes beginning to water. Why is Alora's eyes already beginning to water? She hasn't got the bad news yet. Ren was badly injured in battle, Ilya said. Alora grabbed her sister and pulled her into a tight hug. Ilya's tears soaked into Alora's dress as she rubbed her hand against Ilya's back. It's going to be okay, Ilya. To my understanding, wardens heal very quickly. It's going to be okay, Alora said. Alora released Ilya from her grasp. Can I see the letter? She asked. My liege, Ironhelm is starting to turn the tide in the war. They were able to beat back an ambush that the Vampirian mercenaries sprung. The Baron's daughter is now leading them now. Now and now is repeated since he was wounded. She gave the order for the Grim Warden to lead a few men in a night raid. The raid was a success. Why can't I talk? I'm going to look away, and then I'm going to look back, and then I will be able to talk like a normal human being. Even though I'm not a normal human being, I am a blue cryptid. Okay. However, the Grim Warden returned the next morning badly wounded. He's being treated by the priest, but he's been out of it since his treatment began. By the priest findings, the Grim Warden has lost a lot of blood from a wound that he suffered during the ambush. It was made worse during the raid. You thought it was Dummy Mommy show. I feel like if I try to be a Dummy Mommy and then everyone's just like thinking it's cute, is that really a Dummy Mommy, or is that just a girl failure trying to be a Dummy Mommy? I don't think you're really a Dummy Mommy if everyone just thinks you're silly and cute while you do it. I don't think it's true. I think it has to have some other term. I think it's the off-brand Dommy Mommy. I think that's what it has to be. There has to be a term for it. Kind of like how there's specific terms for other things, like when you want to be a sugar daddy, but you don't have a lot of money. Like your bank account cannot support being a sugar daddy, so they call you a Splenda daddy. Things like that. Like there has to be. Banned. How dare you? How dare you call me that? How dare you? Okay, I'm focusing again. God damn. Yeah, you did. How dare you call me that? Banned for life. Permabanned. uh. Oh my god, I wanted to die. That's so funny. So it highlighted, so you're saying give head pats to? It highlighted the give head to, and it flagged it for like inappropriate sexual contact or whatever the term was. That's so funny. I mean, that gives you head pats too, and the Don Mommy whose lap you sit on while your feet kick in the air like a small child. I want so bad, when I was a younger baby cryptid, I wanted so badly to grow up into being a cool adult, into a cool badass adult, and I only grew into a slightly taller gremlin child. Only slightly, I'm still under 5 feet, but almost barely any growth. Why? The deities just had to nerf me. They're like, no, we had to keep this bitch in check. We have to make her short, otherwise she's gonna be too uppity. This was targeted at me. Did Caldor say when this report was written? Alora asked, wiping her tears away. No, this was the latest news before heading off. I think there's a missing word here, Ilya said. That asshole, Alora mumbled to herself. Ilya, I'll talk to him. Just lay down and try to get some rest, Alora said. So these are both Alora, so this can all just be in one. They don't have to be separate paragraphs. Whenever we have the same speaker, it can still be in the same paragraph. It's when we change speakers that then we change paragraphs. To everybody, quite literally. I'm making a list. Of people who are gonna be permabanned. You and Chatty Batty. Banned for life. Taking your kneecaps. I won't ban you. I'll take your kneecaps, and then after I have your kneecaps, then you're permabanned. Yeah, you get it, what? No, I wouldn't say I'm Canadian brand. Because the Canadian brand implies that someone's being polite and saying sorry a lot. And now, I'll be a bitch and I'll mean it. I'll be a judgy asshole and I'll mean it. So Laura walked through the halls looking for Caldor. He's not in usual spots wherever he is playing king, she thought. Oh, so she left her sister because it's more important to find Caldor right now to find out when the report was written. Okay. Team conventions can just be called things we don't want the Canadians to do again. Right? Oh my goodness. You just do it with maple syrup and pot. Oh my goodness. Canadians can be bitches too. Sure. Sure. I don't want to be Team You Dummy Mommy. I would rather not be a Dummy Mommy at all. If I'm gonna be the Team You version. You know why you aren't allowed to booby trap food supplies anymore, right? Tell that. Maybe not to people. People do that all the time to critters, though. 100%. You ever seen someone put some poison in a piece of cheese for a rat? You can't say that people don't do it anymore. They do it all the time. It's still done. Still done in this day and age. Horrible. Horrible. And you can just look at Roots poisoning my food and almost making me die live on stream when I choked on that burnt pizza that one time. Oh my god. You can't have booby-trapped food in World War I for the Germans. Yeah, a lot of, when you think, wow, that's really fucked up, but also really smart for like war crime stuff, it was probably Canadian. Not gonna lie. Non-food spent 3 to 4 throwing food into the German trench, but on the final day, it was the grenades they threw at the time. Yep. Richard being a bitch. The story works, but you need to work on your wording in this part, and the flashback over here is confusing. Okay. No, I know sometimes maybe I especially for my newer raccoons, maybe go a little too much for some of my newer raccoons who do their first submission. It's hard to tell. It's on the screen. I can't see you guys in person to judge reactions and stuff. But in streams, I generally do try to be pretty good about stuff. I'm pointing out like spelling and like little word issues when I notice them. And then it's like 1 or 2 bigger pieces of critique that I think would have the most impact. But it's never anything too crazy. It's never anything mean. It's a critique group. I don't want there to be any meanness in a critique group. If you're ever joining a writing critique group and there's just assholes in there, that's not a good writing critique group. If you get an editor, if you get a really brutally honest friend, those are 2 separate things. If you have a really brutally honest friend, that person's gonna tell you when you're being dumb. Straight up. I do that in real life sometimes. I'll look at Roots in real life and I'll be like, Roots, what the fuck are you doing? And then, again, with an editor, they're not playing nice. They're being paid to do a job. Their job is to find everything they can that needs to be worked on or improved or that's wrong. And they're gonna do it. They're gonna take their magnifying glasses out and they're gonna point out everything. That's what they were paid to do. They're not your buddy, they're not your friend, they're not a little critique partner. Their job is to find all the fucking errors they can. Like it's professional league Where's Waldo. Except there's 1 bajillion Where's Waldo in your document because there's a lot of things wrong. It's different. So I was even concerned at first that when I'm done with Heidenhardt's manuscript, there is the concern, if I do start offering developmental editing services, that people are kind of used to how nice and gentle and stuff we are in stream, where it's only a couple of things pointed out, and they'll think that's what it is when they might pay for a professional developmental edit, and then instead they get back all the professional developmental edit which points out everything wrong and be like, Cryptid's so mean. Cryptid's horrible and a bully. She's nice on stream around people, but I gave her my document, my manuscript, my baby, and she tore it apart. And it's like, well, that's what you paid me to do. That's the bit. For you giving me the truth, right? Yes, if it's not constructive truth, then it's just an opinion. It's unsubstantiated opinion. It suddenly becomes run-on sentence. That's bad. That's just thinking about the armor of your avatar that gives me the vibe that it's a fake arm that your avatar is holding and waving around. I mean, what do you mean it's not my arm? It's my arm. It legally belongs to me. I got it. It's mine. How it's attached to me doesn't change that it's mine. It's still my belonging. Even if it was someone else's arm originally, it's now mine, and therefore it's my arm. So I don't know what it's still mine. It's still my arm. It legally belongs to me. I'll put my name on it. It's mine. It's never a war crime the first time. Oh my god. So emotionally, I can separate my feelings from the narrative's needs. Sometimes you do need like some more time between a piece. Like sometimes it's a really like standard recommendation of like you finish your piece, you step away from it for a while, like take some breathing, like forget about it, put it in a drawer for a few months, forget about where it is on your computer for a few months. Then you get the critique or the feedback or the edit, whatever the thing is that you're getting, and now you can look at it and more clearly judge what critiques and edits to apply or not. That kind of fits it. Alright, so he's not in his usual spots whenever he's playing king, she thought. Oh, Ethelstan, have you seen the king? Alora asked the court physician. Last I seen he was heading downstairs, my queen, Ethelstan said. Thank you, Ethelstan. Ethelstan, before you go, I do need to speak with you privately later on, Alora said. So this one, so I saw it a little bit earlier with Allura and Ilya. I'm seeing it now too, especially with Ethelstan. Their names are being used a little too much. It's either their names or just he or she. Ethelstan's mostly Ethelstan, but with the girls it was also she. And we can have, if they had a description, if they had something like that, if they had a title, you could use the title. We could add some variety to how these characters are being addressed. Like again, if I forget if it's Allura or Ilya's the queen. But one of them's a queen, the other one's, I think, technically a princess. So you could say something like, oh, Allura asked, and then the princess wiped away her tears. Oh no, this. And then the queen guided her younger sister on. We can add some variety in how they are addressed. Even yeah, if he's the court physician, but maybe he's super tall. So then it's even like, oh, last I seen you was heading downstairs, my queen. The tall court physician like looked away and looked like he wanted to leave, or whatever description he gets, whatever vibe he's doing. Oh, and thank you, and like the tall, whatever descriptions they have, we can switch between court physician, some physical description of how he is, and his name. We can add some of that variety. I need to make that a negotiating point in my series. The other species are pushing to make everything new that the humans do in war presumptively a war crime, unless they get it approved before. Oh my god. Being told what needs to be improved and not knowing how. I think that's why I try, and I think a lot of other, if it's a professional critique person and they're good at their job, they'll normally say how and or why to do it. Like if they'll say, let's say like one of your biggest developmental edit critiques an editor could give you, right, is like work on your main character. Something has to happen with your main character. They might say your main character's boring, right? Let's say that's one of the worst pieces you can get. Your main character's boring. Step back to an Autobot message. Oh, that's funny. So let's say you get that feedback from an editor. The editor, if they're a good professional one, will want to explain why. They'll say, hey, this character doesn't have much personality. We read the entire book. They didn't have any character arc. Who they are at the first chapter is the same as who they are in the middle. It's the same as who they are at the end. They didn't change at all. They weren't very compelling. It was really hard for readers to engage with them. They never seemed to have an emotional response to anything that happened throughout the book. So they'll explain why. Those are the reasons why your main character was boring. And then they'll follow up with some suggestions like, hey, since this story is, let's say it's a coming-of-age story. It's a coming-of-age story, adventure story. Your character could maybe in the beginning, in scenes A, B, and C, and list out these scenes, could have a more childlike approach to something, right? It could be more childish, could be more naive, could be more idyllic, whatever that have more strong ideals of morality or whatever, but in a very naive kind of way. And then here at the in the middle, that's challenged by this. They had to make a tough decision. They might be in denial. They might regress a little bit. And then by the end, they could be a little bit more stoic. They could be more at peace and on terms with what they had to do, right? So they'll offer some guidance. They'll explain what is wrong. Your main character's born. They'll explain why. Evidence ABC. And they'll give you some potential fixes. Do you have to use that exact fix? No, they're just explaining like here's a possibility. You can fix it whatever way you want to as the writer. You can even decide not to fix it. Like, no, that evil, horrible editor doesn't see my vision. Right, whatever it is. But it's just they're giving you an option. Like if you wanted an easy thing, like, oh, here's something nice and easy, that's a way to fix it. The death rocket fletchlet delivery device is that we are not allowed to strap rockets to fletchlets. Okay, magnetic repulsion it is. No! Oh, it's a small metal meant to tear and rip through soft targets. But why? Because that's how we win a war. Because that's how we scare the enemy. Because that's how we give an example. Alright, it's just the back and forth of it. That's really funny. Different species reactions to acts of war and brutality. That would be really interesting to see. So Ethelstan, before you go, I do need to speak with you privately later on, Allura said. So this is interesting. So it's before you go, I need to speak with you. So I'd be like, oh, is she gonna speak with him now? But then it's privately later on, in which case it's not before you go. So this is two different terms. It's slightly confusing. It would be Ethelstan, before you go, I need to speak with you, or Ethelstan, I need to speak with you privately later on, just as a heads up, but you wouldn't see before you go. Caldor headed down to the room that he set up so that he could keep up his swordsmanship privately. I haven't seen you down here in a while, Alora said. Here to call me an asshole, Alora? I was, Alora said with a slight laugh. Hearing him being wounded rattled you as well. You hear the stories as a child and think that wardens are invincible. Then you get on the battlefield and say they're just as normal as the rest of us. I didn't, Caldor said, letting out a sigh as he lowered his sword. Alora stood in silence as she watched Caldor raise his sword and continue to hit the training dummy. It's not your fault, and you shouldn't think that way, Alora said, trying to comfort him. Very interesting. Alora was here to tear him a new one, and then instantly she's already trying to comfort him. You know, I spoke with your uncle. Your father was a man of mystery who in his final years spiraled. It's true he gave Ren the throne, but he never had a grand plan, just heartache and regret, Caldor said, sheathing his sword and sitting down. He let out a small laugh. He really is the master of secrets, your uncle. He told me that it's natural for a king to worry about his son. Laura's eyes widened, her hands tightly gripping her dress. He knows? She stammered. Not everything, thankfully. I assured him that it happened as a drunken accident. I believe that's all he knows about that, hopefully. Things I do to protect us in this kingdom. Killed my own brother, for love. So, Laura, whatever you're planning to do to me, please end it. Because I will not hesitate to kill you for the sake of this kingdom. Oh, we have so many tone and vibe shifts happening at the scene, Caldor said, giving Alora a concerning look. Please, Caldor, if I wanted you dead, I would have done it years ago. I love you, and I'm glad you're actually concerned about Ren. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with you to begin with, Alora said, walking towards him. Then we got censor. That's the sexy stuff. That's all the sexy stuff. Kissy face. Let me see here. So one, I still feel, I think it's trying to have these really complex characters with Alora and Ilya and Caldor, but sometimes they just feel like they don't always make sense. Sometimes it's just like, oh, I want this scene for the characters to do this, this, and this, and so you make them do this and this and this, but it doesn't always make sense for them as people, as characters, to be doing that or reacting that way. That's what I'm saying, is like I'm not always like super compelled by them. And their confusing throuple relationship. I'm also wondering, now that it's been further on, it's a repeating point, is hi Titan, welcome, good to see you. It's a repeated thing. We're constantly getting every few chapters and updates on this this throuple, the two sisters in Caldor, and their dynamic and their changes. It's technically a B plot, right? Our main character and our main plot line is Ren and his coming of age and him growing up being a Grim Warden and going off to battle and denying the throne. That's his story arc. What's up, Titan? That's his story arc. That's the A plot. The B plot is Caldor and Alora and Ilya. But I'm really, besides from the fact that Ren knows them, these are his pair, this is his family. I'm wondering, how does the B plot support the A plot? How is it really having this parallel? How is it helping out here? Because honestly, we could have had if it's just to reveal the fact of like Caldor sleeping with both, and that there's been this whole entire thing, we could just have been following Ren this whole time, and Ren slowly uncovers this stuff over time when it's revealed, when the great machinations happening behind the scene, and all the stuff is revealed, he could slowly be uncovering it. My cryptid story? Oh, you have a story about cryptids? That sounds neat. Well, let me see here. Like, I'm wondering now that we do have, it's not just a one-off in the earlier chapters, it's weird. This is our, at least third, if not more, like fourth tearaway to Caldor and Allura and Ilya. I really want this B-plot to be meaningful to the overall story, to have that payoff. And I'm worried it's just being used to explain things to the reader that Ren will never, that you're worried that will never come up from Ren's point of view. I don't want them just to be side characters to explain background lore for Ren. Okay, the B-plot does come back around, but it's a couple of chapters away. Okay, as long as you the writer, know best. Hold on. Model, please move. There we go. You the writer know best. If you're saying, like, yeah, in the future when we get to it, it does come back around, there is a connection point here. That's all I'm asking. I'll trust you on it until we get to that point and I can evaluate it more and give you better feedback. But I was just saying, like, hey, this is gonna connect, right? This is all, it's all gonna come back here. If it does, then that's great. And in which case, then I'm less worried about it. I'll trust you on that. Otherwise, I'll say just as general feedback when you're going over and doing the scene again then, definitely more descriptions of the scenery. There's not a lot of background scenery. Like, even when Allura's talking with Ethelstan, I don't know where they are. I know we're looking through the halls, I don't know where those halls were. Are they right outside? Is she near the kitchens? Is she in the West Wing? Where she be? What does it look like? What do the halls look like? Was the court physician in a rush? Is he just moseying about? I want some more details of the scenery, of Ethelstan, just more details, rather than just the script format of what do they technically say. That would be good for the next draft, to add in those scenery details. No, everyone in the chat talks. We just yap. I'll look over occasionally. I'll yap back with you guys. It's all good. Ooh, it's about a Wendigo. Very interesting. The deer moose version. Oh wait, that's interesting. It was one of the darker chapters that I'm gonna have to skip. Oh, okay. Got it. Then you can just give like a little summary, like, hey, one or two paragraphs. This is kind of what happens in it. This is what's covered. Peek if I can book it. Yeah, go ahead and join the queue. There's a little Google form. Type Google form. Google form you can sign up for in the Discord in the story submission sections, and then you'll add it to the pool. And then I'll give updates. I'll give updates on like what day I'm doing the critiques and what order of the slots is, and then you just grab a slot when you know that you're available that day. That's how it be. But I'm excited. I love reading more cryptid stories. But it's definitely in the future. There's even talks, if you guys are super deep into the cryptid community, in the next few years about possibly removing the Wendigo from being classified as a cryptid out of respect for Native American cultures. So that'll be interesting to see how the shift works, because at first it was added to be respectful of Native Americans. They were classified as Wendigo rather than as cryptids, rather than as mythology, out of respect for Native Americans. But now it's been so popularized and so just people who like cryptids to yoink onto the Wendigo from Native American culture that some people are talking about some tribes don't want it to be classified as a cryptid, but to be more respectful of their culture and beliefs and stories. Hey, yeah, I wasn't saying you weren't. I was just saying, oh, won't it be so interesting in a few years if that shift happens in the cryptid community for all our cryptid lovers out there, and it's not classified as a cryptid anymore. Won't that be interesting? It'll be cool. You wish you could do it well. You don't know much about cryptids? Yeah, it's a fun little community if you ever want to see cool. Was my internet connection bad? Am I lagging? My stuff over here is lagging.
Cryptid. Auntie Cryptid. When I grow up, I wanna be a Wendigo or Skinwalker. Can I please? Please. Also, what's a Taimut army mommy?
Maybe I'm having connection issues. Everything's being really slow to load. Let's see here. Maybe I disconnected. Hold on. I can't even see my Twitch chat anymore. Oh no. That's not good. Let me check in the Discord. me see. I'm checking stuff. Sorry if I was being quiet. I'm checking things. Let's see. It looks like I'm still streaming. I think everything's still good. Oh. My music's going in and out. Oh no. Who cursed my stream? Who did this? Did Chatty Matty bless it? Is that what happened? It's going robotic from time to time. Oh no. I might have to stop it here. I'll stop it and I'll restart my stuff. What do you mean, what did I do? Roots. No, I didn't do anything. Let's see. So yeah, I'll... Come on, let me connect to Twitch chat. I'll restart. 3 minutes. And restart computer. Come on, I believe in you. You can type stuff out. Let's see. Now I just need to get to the stop streaming button.